Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast. This Week in America. Despite handicaps, Raymond Blanchette could do everything. The inspiring biography, The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man, by Kathleen Ingfried Haskins, is the account of his life as she knew him. The story of a wild, troubled youth grown into a talented, compassionate adult with ambitions to be the first above-the-knee amputee to kayak the whole length of the Mississippi River as a way to encourage other differently abled persons to live their dreams. Also the story of his struggles with alcoholism and the people he met along life's journey. Kathleen was in close contact with Lee for almost 11 years, becoming well acquainted with his idiosyncrasies. Despite their differences, she loved him as a friend and helped him through the rough times. They both grew up camping, hiking in the mountains, canoeing rivers, and loving nature. Kathleen Ingfried Haskins, author of The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, is our guest on This Week in America. Kathleen, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am interested in learning about Lee, a remarkable a man, made quite an impact on you and so many other people. Give us a little bit of background. How long did you know Lee, and what was he like?
Well, like you mentioned before, I knew Lee for over 11 years, and he was a really charismatic fellow, very resourceful and caring and enthusiastic all the time. He could get people to do just about anything for him, and he was very well aware of that. He often said, I could sell a kayak to an Eskimo. And that was one of his favorite sayings. And he was also a dolphin. That's a person who rescues others. And he was a volunteer emergency medical responder. That's also called an EMS.
Yes.
And as such, he would help the Coast Guard and firefighters. And on his own, he would make rounds of the neighborhood to wake up drug addicts with Narcan and take needles from them. And you'd think that would be kind of a dangerous thing to do, but
yes.
He, really got pleasure from doing that and helping them that way.
And really helped a lot of people. Yeah, finish your thought there, because I know that it was sort of an interesting relationship you had. You saw several different sides of Lee, didn't you?
Yes, I did. He changed dramatically over the course of those years. When I first knew him, he was a rough, angry alcoholic who would swear constantly and put a swear word in every sentence, if not more. And when I knew him by the end of those 11 years, he was sober, and he had a totally changed personality. He was sensitive and kind and gentle. And he stopped swearing, at least to me. He would save the swearing for the street talk when we would go out on the streets.
The book is The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man, by Kathleen Ingfried Haskins, and we'll give you all the book information as we continue our conversation. What was your relationship like with Lee? Talk about the relationship you had.
Well, it was a very complex relationship. I was more or less the landlady. My parents are really the owners of the property, but I was more or less the landlady and lawmaker. And he would be the renter and law abider, and I would employ him with various tasks around the house, and he was the contractor, and I would lend him money, and he would borrow, and
oh, yes.
And at times I was the benefactor, and he would be the charity case. And so we did become really good friends, though, tied as sister and brother, and he dubbed me The older sister I never had because of a situation in which I bought back a kayak that he had pawned and gave it back to him for a Christmas present. And he was really touched by that.
What a relationship you had, a complex relationship to say the least. What moved you to write the book? Why did you decide there's so much in Lee's life that I would like to share that I'm going to write the book? What prompted you to write this?
Well, there were three things that moved me to write the book, The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man. First off, Lee had always wanted to write his story in order to show what differently abled people are capable of. He wanted his story to include his childhood and how he lost his leg, but he wanted to center his book on his kayak trip down the Mississippi River. He planned to call his book Along the River's Edge. It was so important to him. And it meant so much to him. He invested so much time and effort in drafting the book, years even. I could not stand the thought of all that effort being in vain. It was like his dying wish to get it published, really. And so that was the first, that how important it was to him.
Yes.
Suddenly, he did die, and his death was shocking and horrible. And so it really hurt me greatly, and I just knew I had to write his story or never forgive myself. Partly because his book had meant so much to him, and then because his story, his death was just etched into me new and raw at that time. And it was like a catharsis to get it out on paper. Thirdly, I had his help. His spirit guided me. I swear he was there with me every time I sat down at the computer to write, helping me remember conversation and nuances of his way of talking. And while I didn't have access to his diaries, nor the start of his book, I did have some spiral binders in which he had jotted notes. And then, well, there were Lee's friends and dad and mentor who gave me information. So I had, quite the resources to draw on.
And it sounds like, finish that. It sounds like that spirit is still, Lee is still with you, isn't he?
I think he's moved on a little bit.
Oh, okay.
He's sort of like watching from a distance now. I've done the important part by writing the book and getting it out.
The book is written. I'm going to let you lead your life now, but I'm here if you need me, is apparently his attitude at this point. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I'd love to have you share a passage from your book, The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man. Would you read us a little bit from the book?
Yes, I would. I'll read you a passage from when he was on the Mississippi River.
Oh, good.
Before I read the passage, though, I want to start by saying that Lee's trip down the Mississippi in a kayak was quite dangerous, and he was well aware of that. The water is deep and swift. There are lots of barges on this river, and the barges have a hard time seeing kayaks. Also, the barge wakes are dangerous for kayaks. Lee told me all his personal information in case he never came back, and he made out a handshake will. So this is the passage, page 77, line 28, which is the last paragraph on the page, through page 78, line 20, which is the end of the second paragraph. Lee made it to the Mississippi with his kayak and all his gear. He would call me at the end of each day to say where he was and how he was doing. He loved passing by the bluffs, very beautiful, reaching up, up, up until they kissed the sky. The cliffs were topped with green trees of every variety and hue, a flamboyant crew cut. The river rippled and bubbled frothily with long plumes of sun-sparkling waves. The freedom of being out there on the murky water in nature simultaneously domesticated yet wild, was exhilarating. Always on the lookout for wildlife where forested shores sloped down to the river's edge and the occasional sandy beach, he once witnessed a doe drinking. All around were the sounds of birds chirping away, the paddles dipping a swirling cadence, the trees chattering serenade in the leafy breeze. He felt so small going through the locks meant for barges with their tugs, and was gratified that the lock and dam masters, lock and dam lock masters, that's a tongue twister.
Yes, it is.
Would raise and lower the water just for him. He marveled how the tiny tugs could manipulate the huge, heavy barges. One day he had to fight the wind hard, but he enjoyed getting into the rhythm of the challenge and feeling his muscles work. Another day he had to cross the river in order to find a campsite, a difficult and dangerous experience. Then Lee didn't call. I got worried and filed a missing person report. I will leave you with the suspense there. Suffice to say, Lee almost did die that trip, but he did manage to make it back to Minneapolis alive.
We will have to read the book to find out exactly what happened and how it happened. The book is The Unyielding Passion for Life of Lee Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man by Kathleen Ingfried Haskins, our guest on the program. I know you've got special plans with the royalties from this book. What do you plan on doing with the royalties?
Yes, I do have special plans. I will be giving all the royalties to the Wounded Warrior Project and to places that help people overcome alcohol and drug addiction. Lee never wanted to make money off his book. He called making money selling out. Also, he wanted his book to be a beacon for differently abled persons and addicts, and would be upset with anything less. I specify the Wounded Warrior Project because that was one of Lee's favorite organizations, and he used to give money to it, even as poor as he was.
Well, here's a great opportunity to memorialize Lee, and it's a story well told, as you can tell, as Kathleen was reading an excerpt from the book, and also help other people. The book is The Unyielding Passion for Life of Lee Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man by Kathleen Ingfried Haskins. We'll give you information where the book is available. Of course, Amazon, the usual places, as we go through the program. Kathleen, what are some of the themes that you talk about in your book you'd like readers to take away or learn from reading this book?
Well, I mostly talk about Lee and his expertise at everything. The theme I want readers to realize is that they're capable of pretty much anything they set their minds to, whether they're fully able-bodied or differently abled, whether it is a skill they want to learn, activity they want to do, or progress they want to make in overcoming physiological barriers, or in overcoming alcohol or drug addiction. That is what Lee would have wanted readers to learn, and I have a whole chapter centered on that. It takes intent and dedication. With enthusiasm, you get others on your side, helping you reach your goals. But you must not give up. Hope is promise. Hope is life itself.
Did living with Lee change you in any way? What impact did he have on you, probably to this very day?
Yes, it did, most definitely. I learned to become even more patient and giving than I thought possible. I also learned to let go. Lee had lost so much over the years: his shop, his tools, his health, his leg. And while he felt bad about losing so much, he took it all in stride. It was quite the example he set. He was also so generous with his money, giving to homeless persons whenever he had $1 on him. And he would take the time to get to know these people as individuals. I have never seen homeless persons the same since. not just as hard luck cases, but as unique stories and as interesting, valuable people.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background before writing this book? A little bit of the background, and it's really prepared you for writing this book and telling Lee's story. What's your background?
Well, before writing this book, I was much like any other person. My life revolved around my work, which was not exciting. I had a minimum wage job pushing wheelchairs out at the airport for 22 years, and then got a better job as a home health aide. I had done a little dabbling in writing poetry before that, not writing novels or anything, but never got anything published. I did try to get some poems published in magazines, but never did get anything published. And I never did write very much. My younger sister was my original inspiration. She started writing poems when she was in grade school. I admired her so much for that and started writing my own poems in junior high. So other authors who have influenced me are Khalil Gibran. My favorite book is his called The Prophet. It is so lyrical and mystical and true. And I also really like the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. They're so imaginative and provocative in a good way. My favorite poets are Mary Oliver for her incredibly sensitive poems of nature and the environment, Denise Levertov, whose poetry is so spiritual and touch the self, and Maya Angelou, whose poetry has so much power, lifting the souls of Black people. These writers have taught me to reach into myself and write from what I feel. I often feel like what I put down on paper is coming from some other source, and I'm just a conduit.
Well, you are a very talented writer, and you've got some great influencers there that you just mentioned, some of the best, and you've obviously learned from them. The book that we're talking about is The Unyielding Passion for Life of Lee Raymond Blanchette, a remarkable man. How long, Kathleen, did it take you to write this book?
Not very long, only about 3 months. What took a long time was finding people to proofread it and the process of incorporating all the changes. Then repeated submissions to the publisher for draft after draft for the corrections and careful rereading of the book between each submission for mistakes. Then there was waiting for the book to come out. In all, it took about a year before I had a book in hand.
Going through that waiting period, that anticipation, what was it like when you finally had the book in hand? Do you remember that moment when you opened the package and there was your book in your hand?
Oh, it was just remarkable. I just loved, I took a look at the cover and I said, yes, this is just it. You know, I said, they've done a great job. They put together my book just the way I wanted it. It was, I was just beside myself with joy. I really was.
Well, they did an excellent job in taking your work, which was excellently done, and putting it, getting it published, getting it in the hands of people to read and to be motivated, inspired by Lee's story. Tell me where the book is available. I mentioned the usual Amazon. What's the best way to go about getting your copy of The Unyielding Passion for Life of Lee Raymond Blanchette?
Well, the publisher is Outskirts Press, and you can get the book through them. They do marketing as well, but you know, you can order it through any bookstore. All you need is the author, publisher, ISBN number, which is the book number, and you can get it from the publisher directly, Outskirts Press. But you still do need the title, author, and book number, called an ISBN number. So the publisher is Outskirts Press, and if you want to get the book through them, you go to the site accounting@outskirtspress.com, and the book ISBN number is 978-1 977 3487-2. Again, the title of the book is The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man. And it's by me, Kathleen Ingfried Haskins. And the publisher is Outskirts Press. And the ISBN number is 978-1-9772-3487-2. I believe the number is up on the screen for you to be able to write down.
The video portion of the interview, which you'll find on YouTube by Googling it or going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, clicking on videos, and you'll see Kathleen's video there. Yes, it's up on the screen, the ISBN number. Also, you'll find in the program description for the podcasting and video and radio, you'll find the information there as well. So everything you need to do to order the book is there. And once again, the title is The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man. Kathleen Ingfried, Ingfried, Haskins is the author and has been our guest on the program. Kathleen, it's been a pleasure learning about you and learning about Lee on the program today. Excellent job with the book. Congratulations on the success you've had with the book, and hopefully we'll encourage people to read and share the remarkable story of Lee and the impact he had on so many people. Thank you for being with us on the program.
And yes, I do want to thank you too, Rick, for this opportunity to interview with you. It has been a real pleasure, and I hope it spurs lots of people to read my book, The Unyielding Passion for Life.
Pleasure having you here to share the story. Yes, just a remarkable relationship, a remarkable human being, and what he was able to do in motivating so many people. The Unyielding Passion for Life of Raymond Blanchette, A Remarkable Man, by Kathleen Ingfried Haskins. Information on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And we're back on today's program after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.